Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for whoever is going to be here. Today, 5th of July 2022, Fred Tusimbu Day. Abagala okutwegattako mujje ate twayingira ffe tetugenda kuvaayo. Kati now, I'm going to talk about how Uganda is misguided. Tusimbudde aliwa
bagenda bakuba tiyagasi, bagenda tukuba tiyagasi, bajja tusindirira amasasi, bajja tusiba mu makomera. Naye nga bwe gwali ku Gaddafi, nga bwe gwali ku Mugabe, nga bwe gwali ku Blaise Compaoré, nga bwe gwabadde ku Omar el-Bashir, njagala obakakasa nti bwe gugenda okubeera ne wano mu Uganda.
Allo, ffe tusimbudde mwoba
mu Uganda. Musigale nga muli b'amaanyi. Bwe bannayuganda abatulaba eyo yonna gye muli. Tuliziganye mwe bannayuganda abatulaba eyo yonna gye muli. Manyi mumpagira nnyo. Era manyi muneesiga obbakulembera. Naye njagala mujjukire nga bwe nze mbagamba nti obwesige bwe munina nange mulina mu mmwe. Omulimu ogwange sitepu ezooka tugituukiriza kati ndi ku ballot. Saawa eno tumaze okulinnya akalulu. Naye nammwe buli omu ayina omulimu baganda bange eyo gye muli. Bano abadaawa tebatusobola abo kati buli omu gyali nkusindikira obubaka. Weebereremu eyo yonna n'abaana babuuse. Bano tebatusobola kuba kati bagweredde wano tebamanyi na kiri eyo walala yonna. Njagala otandika okwerabanga Kyagulanyi. Njagala otandika okwerabanga Ssenyonyi. Njagala otandika okwerabanga Eddie Mutwe, nga David Lewis, nga Nubian, nga bano bannaffe bonna bonna be tuli nabo. Kubanga obuyinza.
Hello, Katiwestio Butweraba. Good morning, everybody. We have got news which has broken up that Turkish court has ruled in favor of Freddie Rumbuye that he cannot be deported to Uganda. Congratulations, Freddie Rumbuye, one of our Echoto member, former member. We still take you as one of our products for Echoto. So Echoto, we are so proud of you, Freddie Rumbuye. Congratulations. May the best come to you. Second, we still have bad news which are floating around, comes around, but for me, I want to concentrate on politics because politics is the way we stand. Politics is the way we are going to change Uganda. Most of the things that happen, they happen because of politics, and politics comes on the way. So we have got news that don't change. 19 women that we know they die every day. 21 people they die in a fatal accident. 330 children they die every day, and 21 they die in brutality. So that doesn't change. We must remind ourselves we are people power. We want a new Uganda, and if we need a new Uganda, these are the statistics we should talk about and we should aim to change if we want to be called the new Uganda and we want to persuade other people. So, and another news that happened over the weekend, I don't want to go there, but I better speak about it because my profile, everybody can see, is of Uganda. We saw the king is not well. We saw people calling the king to have medication. But my question that I want to ask, can you allow us, medical personnel, to give our perspective from what everything has been said. I do lots of jobs. I do from lower jobs to the higher jobs. I can do cleaning job. I can do any job. But I'm a medical personnel, part of me. I'm a social policy maker as well. But can you allow us to say something? Because yesterday I worked in palliative care, and I met people. I've worked there all my life. But when you see the signs of our king, can you ask ourselves, our king had hair. Now he doesn't have hair. What is that in medical terms? Is is it that our king has got cancer? We have to think about that. Are there signs? There is a time the king came back after treatment when he had a tube. Me, as working in palliative care, I know what it is about. So can we start? Can we move away from our conservative environment upbringing? We start looking at things, because there is no harm to say the king has got cancer, whether it's terminal or not. Everybody was born to die, and we are born once and we are going to die once. We cannot rage, keep on going on about that. The kingdom should come straight away and say the king is suffering from what? But because of our society, we become condemned. It's so embarrassing to say the king is suffering from cancer, the king is suffering from this, kidney failure, prostate cancer. The king is 67. So I won't go there. Let me talk about this, my topic. My topic today: Uganda is under misguided governance. Everybody knows it, but I'm going to speak from the side of a policymaker. I hear people who say, oh, those, it don't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. It works, because politics is about jigsaw puzzle. We need people for propaganda. We need people for diplomacy. We need people for civil rebellion. We need people for civil disobedience. We need people who are teachers. We need all kinds. Politics is about buffet. So Uganda is under misguided governance. Wherever you look at that, for me today, I'm going to concentrate much on policies. We look at Uganda, we are going to use the word yardstick. And in that, we are going to talk about the principles of good governance. We are looking at the word effectiveness and efficiency. So the yardstick for NRM, because what one of my subtopics I put there, at 36 years, we haven't reached a milestone. Tanzania has come from nowhere. They have reached middle age. Kenya, they are developing democracy. Their elections are no longer chaotic. The law, the justice takes place. But what happens in Uganda? Because we have got a misguided governance, misguided self-greed, self-capture, manipulative governance. Individuals who come in power and they say Museveni is the law, is the A to Z. Museveni says the powers from above. We are keeping Segirinya in prison because powers from above. We are keeping Sewanyana prisoners, and all that the judge can no longer do whatever they can do. So if that happens, what can help? What we NUP we are going to offer? NUP, we are going to reinstate the word policies. When we talk about policies, it brings people at level. It brings people to be accountable. It brings people to be like, you are not above the law. Our policies, they are the policies that which are going to decide. We are looking at political prisoners. Olivia retired. She's in prison. She's a woman. We are looking at Mama Zedriga. When she was arrested, she was put in the same cell with the men. What would a good policy from NUP be? There will be that when you arrest people, you separate women and men. So policy is not a bad word. We better get used to that. Is the way we are going to do the things the rightful. When you bring a policy, it doesn't decide you are a Muslim, you are Catholic, you are short, you are Muchiga, you are Muganda, you are educated, you are rich, you are not rich, you are in NRM, you are in NUP. Policy, the word policy stands for the national interest. So we are misguided because we don't have good policies which have been implemented. I'm adding two words. We don't have good policies and then implemented. So what we have bad policies. I want to give you an example of one of the policies. One of the policies that Muhammad Seruka is going to bring for social media. It lacks balance. It's a bad policy for a start, and it's not well implemented. What we have a social media policy which is already there in place. It hasn't been tackled, it hasn't been implemented, it hasn't been used, but then Muhammad Seruka goes out to bring a new policy. So we are under misguided governance because of lack of policies. When you have good policies, you can rule the country without any problem. You can contain everybody. You can stabilize the country. But where we stand, because of lack of policies, what we see, they go in the parliament, they bring this. They go there, they decide this. The one day from nowhere. Then we have like educational curriculum coming when teachers, they don't know what is included in that education curriculum. You tell me, is that education curriculum? It should go around. Every teacher should become a campus to that educational curriculum, and they should approve it, they should understand it, and they should implement that. So at 36 years, we don't have, there is no milestone that NRM can be proud about. At 36 years, Uganda should be stable. 36 years, the education should be at above good standards. 36 years, we should have medication in the hospital. We should have our health workers working there, being paid on time, being paid well. But what we have, people, they are going abroad. At 36 years, there should be jobs in Uganda because we should be working for Uganda to develop. Once you bring anything to develop a country, something that creates jobs, it creates jobs. But what we have to do, we have a government which is keeping its citizens in poverty, impoverished, is their approach. NUP approach is going to be to fight disease, poverty, and ignorance. So you can see that the difference from NRM. Where we are now, NRM, they say steady progress. But where is the progress when you cannot pay teachers on time? When you cannot pay teachers a wage that can cover a cost of living? Janet Museveni, when I come to you about effectiveness, what have you done? How good have you made our education? Is it improving? Is it doing well? Is it going backwards? Effectiveness. How good, Janet, have you made our education? Janet, you are becoming inconvenience. For you to come to the Ministry of Education headquarters, you said Monday and Tuesday, staff, they should not park in the car park. That is how selfish, Janet, you are. That is how detached. When you are a minister of education, you were a public servant. You were a civil servant. The word is civil, Janet. I want you to know this. When you are a minister, you need to be reminded and to know you are a civil servant. You are serving your country. So when you accept to take the ministerial jobs, you should not be inconvenienced. At one time, they were going to read the results. I forgot the place. And then they crossed the roads. Do you know what inconvenience that is when they cross off the roads? It's very inconvenient. Business, they stop. People, they don't go where they are supposed to go. People, they will die because of taking a shortcut. They are going to go round. So you are being inconvenient. So we are under misguided governance because they don't want people to understand. So if you don't pay the teachers very well, that means you are creating a nation of uneducated population. That is what you are doing. Uneducated population. And once you have it, what do? You borrow loans, people, they don't care. You do this, people, they say Chimp 7. You kill people, oh, people don't touch. Don't challenge him to be a president. Oh, people, our members, they are being killed. Oh, abana baba say, Chaguranya Sizaban. No, we are talking about national issues, and we are going to stand by policies. Fellow Ugandans, those who say don't want those diplomatic this or what, we have got a delegation in the Netherlands which was there. Robert Amsterdam was there. Who is Robert Amsterdam going to speak to? He can speak to everybody, but then they can have these behind the scenes meetings. What language are they going to speak? They cannot speak it should be precise, concise, and clear. Behind the scenes, they can even speak for 5 minutes because they are on a level of, and we need those people. As long as you continue saying you don't want them, you wait. You are dismissing, you are putting off people. So we are under misguided governance, and due to lack of policies, being due to lack of good policies. What do I mean by good policies? What is a bad policy? A policy comes to benefit the individual, the government, and the country. So a bad policy like OTT, it was collecting revenues for the government. It wasn't helping me as Demikiza because I was having inconvenience to use internet. So many people, they had learned to do business on Facebook. But once they put in OTT, they couldn't afford it. Even today, they have scrapped away. They have scrapped away the OTT, but still they have made the internet even more expensive. This is how stupid these people, misguided government it is. You remember we belong to National Unity Platform. You remember we are people power. You remember our ideology is people power, is because we are people-centered government. And we are led by one only Robert Chagulanyi. So Robert Chagulanyi is our president. Remember, for me, these are the points that attracted me to say, I'm going to join NUP. I'm going to join where Robert Chagulanyi is going to lead. Because he fights for the layman. He fights for the poor people. This is why these international, they took him on when he campaigned against the OTT. In fact, they threatened him, they took him to court, and then eventually they had to drop the case. So when you talk about, so this is a person I see that is fit to lead a new country, is fit to come as NUP with our ideology, with our approach to transform our country. We need to transform our country from these people who set up taxes to make life difficult for those who challenge or oppose them, who set up bad policies, who come up with ideas like a POMA just to clamp on opponents, political opponents, who come out with the social media policy to put down people who are outspoken, when in our constitution it says right to freedom, right to express your opinion. So these are misguided governance. But when NUP comes in power, read its manifestos because it's loaded up with the policies. I give our praise, I give credit a lot to our policymaker. Go there on Twitter, Mary Serumaga. Our manifesto is about 48 pages. NRM 340 something pages. But it's got nothing to do. At this time when we have a crisis of skyrocket prices, they cannot come up with a policy to say we give tax rebate so that prices can be down. Robert Chagulanyi gave a state of nation, and one of the key points he talked about to reduce introduce price on flour. People, they did not understand it, and then they understand it, and then they hide. Because right now, chapati chikomando has become a daily meal for Ugandans. So that is where a leader looks at the lay person. How do they survive? You don't look at where, like Janet Museveni is looking. A leader like Robert Chagulanyi is looking at, okay, policy, okay, chikomando, okay, lay person, okay, ghetto people, okay, now they have one daily meal. And unfortunately, that daily meal has become a chapati. So that is contrary to Museveni, who comes and say, eat cassava, eat 125 milligrams of posho. Is detached. But this is a person who says, as a leader, the policies you come with is to tax rebate, to see that there is supply. You go in agriculture, there is supply of cassava, there is supply of maize flour, you give tax rebate to the farmers, then you make life easier, you make the low prices for on flour. Because people, they are surviving on chapati chikomando every day. But people, they don't understand it. These are the leaders we want of 21st century, that they think in modern world, and they think about the lay person, how to help a lay person. Janet Museveni, as a Minister of Education for 10 years, has not come up with a policy to give teachers sensible payment, has not come up with a policy to see that people, they can access education, which is affordable, which is quality, which is universal. What she has left her policies to making NRM people rich, that they own schools. When they own schools, they could no policy of the lay person. They don't have any policy to help people access quality education. What do you find that people who are poor, they are phased out? Let me tell you something. Go to United Kingdom. Just go to United Kingdom. There is no children of a rich and poor having different set of education. There can be a few who are going to private school, but they make sure at least 99.9% of the children, they are going to access affordable education. So we are looking at the policies. What are the policies? When you see Nigel Farage, he brought in Brexit. But Brexit, he was after all these people with the white collar. But however, he had to get people of white collar to bring Brexit, to bring it home. Nigel Farage on himself, radical, fascist, body radical, he couldn't. But he had to bring Boris Johnson. He had to bring all these technocrats on board. This is why, for me, when I hear people, they say we don't want diplomacy, you need it. Politics is a buffet, is a jigsaw puzzle. We have parapase, we have propaganda. Now parapase propaganda works. When you see Nabanja, she comes with her flask. When you see the Speaker of the Parliament, she comes with a flask. When you see the people, they have occasion on the table, they give them food, they give them water, they leave when the table is still empty. When you see President Museveni, when he met the president of Tanzania, nobody drank the water. President Museveni and this president of Tanzania. So that parapase works. The propaganda works. So when the propaganda works, start recognizing that even policy, they work. Diplomacy, they work. I keep on telling you, Robert Chagulanyi is in the middle, you like it or not. He is in the middle, and that is the leader we want, and we are fortunate because he brings people together. So Uganda is under misguided. I could talk about policies. I cannot be specific, but because there is no good policies. Good policies should benefit the stakeholder, me, them, should benefit the government, should benefit whoever provides. That is how you bring in a balanced policy. It must have entry, product, and exit. So policies, they bring people accountable. Policies, they tell us their indicators. But lack of good policies is a big problem. And lack of implementation. Uganda, what NRM has happened, they don't have a will to implement anything good. Anything good, they find it is as a catch-22, that if we implement this, then NRM is going to lose. This is why you hear Museveni when he said, neguyanya abantu, nembeguya nnyo, mbeeguyiza ddala kubanga ku bululu mbeetaaga neeguya okubanyiiza. So this is a president who is talking about. Even he said, tasobola kugoba abantu ku wetlands. Nga takimanyi. So if we have a good policy that on wetland, you should never build on a wetland unless it is authorized. You should never issue a land title. That would be a policy that a president, our president, Robert Chagulanyi, will not cancel, will not go over. So we are looking about policies. We talk about the law, we talk about this, but policies, good policies can help us. But the lack of implementation is what is affecting, one of the things is affecting Uganda. When you go to Rwanda, they have the will to fight corruption. NUP approach, it says to you, we are going to recover all the money. So we have the will. We are going to pursue those people, Diana Twine, the money for COVID, they borrowed $5 trillion US dollars. We want them. And this 1 million, they went for extended credit facilities. We are going to follow up that. IMF was in Uganda for 10 days to see what happened with that money. They never gave us a report. But we are a generation that we are keeping evidence, and the evidence is there that we are going to pursue those. We are not going to treat them like Museveni is treating Segrinya Sewanyana. No, it's going to be civil because we are ideology. We want to learn from their mistakes. How did they exploit the system? What was going on in their mind? Then we come up with the right approach to transform our country. You know, they say sympathy, it doesn't mean you are not guilty. Or NRM now, for them, they are worried that when you let NUP come into power, you're going to be into problem. Yes, you might be in problem. It's not too late for you to change. So, no milestone has reached for NRM. No middle income, no good schools, no service delivery. We are having influx of Chinese. We are borrowing too much money. If we had a good policy in the Ministry of Finance, Matia Kasaja, where would Uganda be? Why would you borrow money? You always say you don't want supplementary budget, and then you come up with it. A good policy will not come and say we need cities. We need to name, like Lusakara Mese, we name it as a city. No, that is a bad policy. A good policy brings the services to Lusakara Mese. And everybody will start talking about Lusakara Mese. Everybody will say, oh, I'm going to Lusakara Mese, because they are near the river. I'm going to buy fish there. I'm going to Lusakara Mese because they have matoke. I'm going to Lusakara Mese. There is a somewhat creation. This is what we are saying, that when we come in power, we are going to transform Uganda for good. That we are going to make Lusakara Mese. You don't need to go to Kalisizo. Because a person like me, I can organize so many activities to make Lusakara Mese, the community lively, the community come together, and you don't need. You see people in Europe, they go in Amsterdam. They go where? To the celebrate. So you have to make it that way. And also we are going to improve the tourism, because tourists, they don't want to be in the city. They just want to go in rural areas and see what is happening. So good policy can be a good one. It's going to be a good one within NUP. But NRM, they have failed to implement good policy. When you see people, they complain about member of parliament. You moan about, you sow, you do what? I don't mind. But let me tell you, if we had a good policy, member of parliament, they wouldn't do what they are doing. They should be active. NUP has got code of conduct. Alex White, our deputy spokesman, he promised me that, and I think I better follow you up to get that code of conduct. NUP has got code of conduct. So member of parliaments of NUP should follow that. When we have policies that if anybody is caught taking bribery money, they should be apprehended. If you have a policy, you set it, you make sure you implement it, you work. That is what keeps people in line. Me, Demi, as a human being, I'm weak. I'm born of flesh and blood. I'm going to have all different behaviors. But being like I'm in a church, I have to follow policies. We have policies in place. There are things I don't do when I'm on a church. There are topics I don't say when I'm on a church. When I'm on Demi, I can dance, I can do what, I can do my life, I can do them in a bedroom. But we cannot do it. I cannot do it in a church. So we are talking about, even they start from small things. What people they are looking at is the big. The big, you will never get there. Let us start with a small one, then we go up. Politics is a jigsaw puzzle. I repeat that. And when we say good policies, we want implementation. But what we see in Uganda, they are clamping on people to bring in bad policies, which doesn't hold waters. At one time, we have got this comrade. We have got Isaac Semakanda was asking, the policies we have in place, they don't work. Why? So you ask.
Flags children, flags a few images, blabbers on, and you ask yourself why. Is he aware of the existing law? Hacking is already a criminal offense under the Computer Misuse Act. Stalking. I'm strengthening. Cyber stalking. Yes. Cyber harassment. That's what I've said. All these laws are here. Sharing unauthorized access, sharing photos of children, all these offenses are here. What we have seen, however, in the last 11 years of that act has been the criminalization of speech against the first family. That's the only business the government of Uganda has used this law for. To give a gilded status to one family and to cause us to remove them from our social media conversations. There is an entire police station. Currently, it's headed by Henry Kaiser and a guy called Bill Ndiamhagi.
Now, I'm going to post that video. Isaac Semakade is telling you, we have cyber laws, we have this. So why bring in something new? And Muhammad Nseko says he's going to strengthen that. No, you start with the existing, then you strengthen that. When NUP comes in power, we're going to ask NRM to give us a government. So people, did you know that? I'll give you an example of Iraq. When they took out Saddam, the West and US, they found themselves in hot water because the word which is called government was no longer there. They had nowhere to start. So when Museveni goes out of power, NUP takes power, they will have to give us the word which is called the government. How they have been operating, what they have been doing, what they want to do in 5 years. When you go to UK, before they go for general election, every party is required to set up the next 5 years in government. And that is, so when you come in government, those people who put up the existing government, who put up the 5 years, you use that, you can change it, but you go along that. So we need, when we come into government, we shall need what the word government is. How are they been spending our money? How are they been doing that? That is the way it is. You cannot get away from that. You keep on saying diplomacy abobukoti tubetaaga. Oyagala toyagala. Tujja kubetaaga. Olina okukkiriza buli muntu yenna n'akola ki n'abeerako ne kyagamba. So as I conclude, ennaku zino nayiza okuyitawo, which is learning like me. Uganda is under misguided governments because the way they do things is about individual. It's not policy-wise. It's not like law. It's not about constitution. It's not like good governance. Good governance has got 9 elements. So it's not, one of them is independence. So there is lack of independence everywhere. So one of them is effectiveness and efficiency. So what is effectiveness? What has Janet done? Efficiency, how good has she done? Then there is multi-participatory governance. Then we are like, we are not allowed to practice. NRM is allowed. So, and then there is equal, there is civil liberties, there is lots of, it's about 9 elements of civil government, of what? Of good governance. So Uganda is under misguided governance. They are doing whatever they want. They are doing bushwar, and every day they deviate, they get away from the truth. But we are catching them. They'll get somewhere where they can no longer. We exhausting everything that they are trying to do misguided. So Uganda is misguided. The political prisoners shouldn't be there, because good governance, it gives you multi-perspectory. So if it is multi-perspectory, you should allow other parties to practice well. Census-orientated is what? An element of good governance. What do the people say? The consensus, what do we say? Yesterday we saw people like in Rubiri, too many on Sunday, and you ask Ugandans, where are you? I think Ugandans, you are not due. What I saw on Sunday, they told me something else. So, and so we are under misguided governance because of lack of policies. Good policies, we don't want policies that benefit them, and lack of implementation. So Muhammad himself comes with a bill. We have a bill in place. He hasn't tackled that. He hasn't used it. And then he comes. Then they have got POMA. They have got all these, like they take NUP prisoners, they take them to army court. It shouldn't be. So these are misguided. Uganda is totally misguided. We should be going right. They are going left, and they don't listen. Entebbe Airport is sold, so we don't no longer own anything. The source of River Nile, our right is gone. It's Egypt now who has got that rights of source of River Nile. So there is no milestone. When you talk about milestone, we use the word yardstick. What should you be doing in 1 year? What should you be in 10 years? Uganda should be far. There should be service delivery. There shouldn't be this big cabinet. There shouldn't be this big big parliament. Uganda shouldn't be that the main job has become politics. It should be politics as normal, that we stand side by side. NRM, UPC, NUPDP, we are. So there is no, the milestone, they cannot show it. They say they want to what? To secure a future as it stands for now. You cannot secure a future if you cannot pay teachers very well. If children are not going to school, if there is no medication, if there is no jobs, we are selling Ugandans. We have a video going around of a Ugandan being beaten by somebody like 12 years. I saw that young girl, the way she was speaking, even if I don't understand Arabic, I think the girl has got learning disability. So sorry who went through that harsh and horrible treatment. It is degrading. It is humiliating. We shouldn't be like that. People, Arabs, they should come to work to Uganda. During Amin, we were attracting people to come. So we want to transform. That is our approach, NUP. NUP is to transform our country. When we look at the basis of ideology, what is our ideology? Is people-centered government. Is people power. People power, then we break it down. It's gonna be people-centered government. That everything we decide is gonna be for the people as the main investor, as in the interest of the people will be consulted, and the people will decide. We don't want this, but when you go to Uganda, there is petrol station after petrol station. No one is thinking about health and safety. Petrol station after petrol station. When you go to Masaka, before you come out of Masaka, within half a mile, there are 5 petrol stations. Can you believe it? So we are going to go by people-centered government, that we see no petrol stations. They are too much. They are affecting people. So we are going to go like that. So lack of good policies. I've said it, and the NUP approach is gonna be, I just said it. So as we wind the day, those are the few words I had to say. I had a lot to say, I can say, but the saddest moment for Uganda, we are under misguided and we are confused. People, this is why NUP, they say we are going to fight ignorance. You can see when something breaks out, when you have a breaking news, you can hear different stories, you can hear different opinions. It's not, yes, it's normal, but you find we haven't got a one way of where we say this is it, this is no, but we just go, this one comes and say a, this one comes and say no, this one comes. I tell you, all developed countries, they rely on the word policy. When the president makes a mistake, what does the policy say? This is why when leaders, they emerge or they come out, they should have technocrats around them because they advise them. A leader is not a superhuman, doesn't know everything. But these people around him, communication, policy, this and this, how your president, this happened, your president don't say like this, your president, people that, yeah, technocrats around them. You see when these presidents, they speak. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, when the Queen speaks, the President, they are always these people around them. The PR, the advisor, speechwriter, they are those five people. When they show you the camera, normally they don't show them in the camera. They are always there. Those people, five, they must be there when that person is talking. And if you go back to body language, you go and see Margaret Thatcher when she was always talking. There is this man, I forgot his name. He was always looking to that man. Imagine no people saw it. But this is the man who was directing her, saying, no, don't say, kino tokyogera, no, tulaba oti weetereze. Abantu bonna twetaagako abantu abatwetoolodde batuwunde, batutereeze. Mulaba Tony Blair bamugamba kyusa amannya. Bw'otakyusa mannyo tojja kubeera prime minister. Tony Blair yagakyusa. Ne bagamba Gordon Brown wano ekirago kigize n'agenda n'akikola surgery. Ne bagamba Obama, ne bamugamba bino byozze nabyo ebyekivubuka okola bw'oti bimale. Obama yabimala, shaping him, eventually he became a president. Kale ekyo ekifo kye twagala kibeera kinene nnyo. Ne policies zijja tuyamba. Policies mwabagamba nti tezijja tuyamba, nze mbagala zijja tuyamba ate tuzeetaaga ate mwenna tubeetaaga. Tewaliwo kino. N'olwekyo olwaleero 5/7/22 nebaza nnyo platform ezindeese wano, Kyoto Reloaded, Kyoto YouTube, JB Muwonge, n'abalala abasharinze. Thank you for everybody who has been watching. Thanks everybody for all your comments. I'm going to read them. Thanks so much. Have a lovely day. These are my opinion. I'm here to interact. I'm here to exchange. When people, they inbox me, I always reply. I'm open. For me, there is nothing off the table. Nothing off the table. That is my approach. I'm always in the middle. There is nothing off the table. I'm willing to listen and talk to everybody. I'm willing to interact. The only problem might happen that I haven't got time. I haven't too much time, but I always give time. I read through your comments, and if you can see, I always reply. Kunga, Uganda. Salute. People power. Our power. NUP. Everywhere. Zaake zivuge. Odadde rutandike leero. Have a lovely day.